to have a photo ID when you vote. Poor Pennsylvania. The state legislature passed and the governor signed a voter ID law, and they call it a strict voter ID. Well, what is a non-strict voter ID? You can have a photo, but it's not you? Oh, yes, okay, come on in. Anybody's photo? What's a strict photo ID? Is it one with your actual face on it? But this, again, is how the media writes this stuff. The Associated depressed Peter Jackson. A state judge on Friday barred enforcement of Pennsylvania's strict voter identification law in the November 5 general election. Now, full disclosure, Landmark Legal Foundation has been involved in this case, as we've been involved in other cases. The state also cannot require local elections officials to verbally tell voters at the polls that photo IDs could be required in future elections. You believe this? But officials can distribute written material about the law. Commonwealth Court Judge Bernard McGinley said. A Commonwealth Court judge. That's the lowest of the on the rung. Bernard McGinley, don't say anything, but you can hand them a document. Why? Well, it's voter intimidation. If you're talking about future elections and photo IDs, that may turn people off. What are you talking about? This judge's ruling marked the third consecutive election in which enforcement of the law has been blocked by court order. The constitutionality of the law is being all right. As I think about it, and I wasn't planning this, ladies and gentlemen, the Liberty Amendments, my book, the last proposed amendment deals with this. The last proposed amendment in the book. Let me see here if I can find it fast enough. I'm sure I can. Everybody, sing show tunes while I find it. Here it is. It's called an Amendment to Protect the Vote, Chapter 11, Section 1. Citizens in every state, territory, and the District of Columbia shall produce valid photographic identification documents demonstrating evidence of their citizenship, issued by the state government for the state in which the voter resides as a requirement for registering to vote and voting in the primary or general election for president, vice president, and members of Congress. Holy smokes! A valid photographic ID demonstrating citizenship issued by the state? Oh my God! The horror! Section 2. Provision shall be made by the state legislatures to provide such citizenship-designated photographic identification documents at no cost to individuals unable to afford fees associated with acquiring such documents. Hey, but the problem is they might be free, but how are they actually going to acquire them? I mean, maybe they live in a hovel under a tree. Hey, how are you going to get them the ID? I have an idea. We'll get them out along with free cell phones. What do you think of that? Do you think then the people will have IDs? Oh, I think so. Section 3. Early voting in any general election for president, vice president, and members of Congress. Notice this all affects federal elections. The states can do whatever they want on state elections. Shall not be held more than 30 calendar days prior to the national day of election, except for active duty military personnel, for whom early voting shall not commence more than 45 calendar days prior to the national day of election.